There are moments in royal adjacent history when the contrast is so stark, so unintentionally comedic, that it deserves to be preserved in long form commentary. Christmas 2025 delivered one of those moments, gift wrapped with a bow. On one side, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, seated at a piano beside her 10-year-old daughter, Princess Charlotte, playing a gentle duet broadcast to millions as part of the Together at Christmas Carol service. On the other, a lifestyle brand newsletter from Montecito, featuring dim sum, candles, sidebars, and a truly heroic commitment to run-on sentences. If this feels like a mismatch, that's because it is. Not in status, that argument is settled, but in intent, execution, and tone. One was institutional, understated, and quietly symbolic. The other read like a rush job written at 11:58 p.m. by someone refreshing the internet and whispering, "Post something. Post anything." On Christmas Eve, British television aired the Princess of Wales's annual Together at Christmas service. It opened with a pre-recorded segment filmed at Windsor Castle. Catherine at the piano, Princess Charlotte beside her. Hands carefully placed. Posture composed. Focus unbroken. No monologue. No lifestyle branding. No explanatory essay. Just music. The message landed without being spelled out. This wasn't about spectacle. It was about continuity. Charlotte wasn't pushed forward, oversold, or framed as a prodigy. She was simply present, participating, learning how public life works by being gently included in it. The following day brought the Sandringham Walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church. Catherine wore soft tartan in deep, muted tones. Fashion commentators immediately noticed what the Wales family always does well. The adults subtly step back, so the children can step forward. Charlotte, in particular, was allowed to shine, interacting with well-wishers, accepting gifts, and calmly handing bouquets to aides with a polite please and thank you. No fuss, no awkwardness, no drama. And that, ironically, is where the contrast begins to sting. According to Hello magazine, Catherine's look served two purposes: a respectful nod to Scottish heritage and a deliberate choice not to visually overpower her daughter. In royal terms, that's called reading the room. Charlotte is 10. She's being eased into public life slowly, intentionally, and with boundaries. This is the key distinction many commentators miss. The Wales children are public because their roles are public. Their exposure isn't optional, but it is managed carefully, consistently, and with long-term stability in mind. Which raises the inevitable question. If Charlotte is being introduced with such restraint, how does someone who left the system respond when relevance is no longer automatic? Cue the newsletter. Within hours of the Wales family's Christmas coverage, subscribers to Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand As Ever received a festive message. Not from a monarch, not from a head of state, not from someone with a constitutional role. Just a letter. It opened with Meghan nibbling remnants of a Christmas Eve dim sum feast, wrapping last-minute gifts, tiptoeing down the stairs to check on Santa's cookies and reindeer carrots, all in a single paragraph that functioned as both sentence and endurance test. From there, readers were guided through pajama-clad board games, flickering candles, snoring dogs, endless grazing, and, intriguingly, sidebars. The letter ended with a sweeping benediction to readers everywhere. Cozied up, dressed to the nines, alone or together, as if issuing a royal message without the minor inconvenience of being royal. Which brings us to the obvious question: why? The problem isn't that Meghan wrote a Christmas note. The problem is when she wrote it, and how transparently it appeared to respond to Catherine and Charlotte's moment. This has become a familiar pattern. Praise lands on the Wales family, coverage trends, and within hours, something, a podcast clip, a press release, a brand announcement, a personal essay, a pep walk, appears from Montecito. This time, the contrast was especially sharp. Where Catherine allowed a 10-year-old to speak through music, Meghan chose narration. Where Charlotte showed ease in public interaction, Meghan presented a carefully curated domestic tableau. Where one side communicated through restraint, the other reached for adjectives, a lot of adjectives. Much has been said about children in public life, but this isn't about love, privacy, or parental intent. It's about function. The Wales children are public figures by role. Their appearances are structured, limited, and purposeful. When Prince George volunteered at the Passage, a long-established homeless charity, the message was clear. He was there to learn, participate, and observe. By contrast, Meghan and Harry have said their children will be part of future philanthropic branding through Archewell. That isn't inherently wrong, but it does change the optics. When children appear as part of brand expansion, the public notices. Back of the head photos and obscured volunteering shots feel less like participation and more like placeholders. In the absence of clarity, speculation fills the gap. Compare the passage, decades old, unglamorous, and service focused, with highly photographed, PR friendly volunteer settings. One is optics forward, the other is service forward. The public can tell the difference. Nothing illustrates this better than the flower handoff moments. At Sandringham, Princess Charlotte calmly passed bouquets to an aide, following protocol without hesitation. She politely said thank you and moved on. This isn't precociousness, it's training. By contrast, during the 2022 walkabout after Queen Elizabeth II's death, Meghan appeared reluctant to hand over flowers, reportedly wanting to place them herself. Security protocol exists for a reason. Efficiency matters. Charlotte understood this instinctively. It's not an insult. It's an observation. Meghan has spoken about being a hugger and finding British formality difficult. Yet at Sandringham, Charlotte, raised in that same culture, warmly hugged a well-wisher, unprompted and at ease. The difference wasn't culture, it was context.